The Diocese of Springfield and the Catholic Communications Ministry is excited about a pilgrimage for 2017, July 17th through July 28th, to Fatima, Santiago de Compostela, and Lourdes. What's exciting about this trip, it's going to be led by our very own Bishop Brzezinski, and I will, Father Gary Daly, be assisting him on this trip. The significance about this trip is that it is the 100th anniversary of Fatima, and so this allowed us to put together this trip through Portugal, Spain, and into the Peace of France with a visit to Our Lady of Lourdes. The goals of this presentation here is an itinerary overview, how to register, and contact information. And the highlights of our trip will be Lisbon, Santarém, Fatima, Santiago de Compostela, Loyola, Lourdes, and so much more. You will see in the slide there the trip route that we will take. It seems to be a long distance from one end to another, but that trip will be broken up into pieces as we visit the various places. The longest part of the trip will be about a 5-hour drive after we leave Santiago and end in Borges. So we look forward to this trip as we visit the countryside as well of Portugal and Spain. On July 17th, which is day one, we will depart from Boston Logan Airport and arrive in Lisbon, Portugal on day two, July 18th. Once we arrive in the morning, we'll have a brief tour of the city of Lisbon before we check into our hotel and to get some rest after a long journey across the ocean. July 19th, we'll be visiting Lisbon, particularly the Basilica of St. Anthony, St. Geronimo's Monastery, the Bellum Tower, and we'll check out the beautiful squares that Lisbon has and enjoy the food and enjoy the scenery and all that Lisbon has to offer us. On day 4 of our trip, we move from Lisbon, stop in Santarém, and then off to Fatima, Portugal. And our stop in Santarém will be to visit the Church of St. Stephen, the place of the oldest known Eucharistic miracle that's been on display there since the year 1269. And after we visit there, we will make our way to Fatima, which, as we know, is celebrating 100 years. In 1917, Our Lady appeared to the 3 children in Fatima, Portugal, and this year we come to celebrate that 100th anniversary with all the promises and all the joy of that apparition. And so we will spend a few days here at Fatima soaking in the great beauty of Fatima, but also the graces that we'll receive from being there. We've avoided the 13th day of each month because from May 13th to October 13th, Our Lady visited on each of those days through those months. We're coming a little later in July so that we can avoid the massive crowds that will appear on those 13ths of each month. So in the evening, we will join pilgrims from all over the world in the nightly procession and the prayers. For any of you who have been to Ludlow and seen the procession there for Our Lady of Fatima, it's very, very similar. But this will be people from all over the world, and it should be a very moving experience. On day 5, we continue our visit to Fatima and we'll visit the Chapel of the Apparitions and pray at the Basilica of Our Lady of the Rosary with the tomb of the 3 children, Francesco, Jacinta, and Sister Lucia. In Aljustrel, we'll see the 2 homes of the little shepherds, and then we will make our return to Fatima. On day 6 of our pilgrimage, we will leave Fatima and continue our drive through Portugal. And we're not sure of the exact route in which we will take, but mostly along the coast, and we will arrive in Santiago de Compostela. Now, what is so significant about Santiago Compostela is that it is the pilgrimage of what's called St. James Way. Pilgrims from all over the world make a several kilometer walk through this area, which moves from France into Spain. This is the place where St. James came to minister to the people as an apostle, and where he died, and his remains are in this area. And so we will experience, while we will not walk in pilgrimage through the various sites, we will experience some of the Pilgrim's Way in Santiago de Compostela and enjoy the beautiful scenery as well as the cathedrals and the churches. We'll explore and ascend the stairs behind behind the altar to visit the crypt where the relics of St. James are preserved. And that afternoon, we will be free to take in all the beauty that this place has to offer us. On day 8, we will leave Santiago de Compostela and make our way to Burgos. This will be the longest of our trip in the bus. It will approximately take us about 5 hours to get from Santiago to Burgos, but we will begin the trek across northern Spain, and we will stop at various places along the way to visit some holy sites, to take in the breathtaking beauty of Spain, and then we will stay an overnight in Burgos, which is the capital of Old Castile. And we look forward to exploring that beautiful city and take our rest before we make our trip to Lourdes the following day. The next day, day 9 of our trip, we will make our destination to Lourdes, which should be another 2.5 hours roughly, and we will take the northern route to the Bay of Biscay and through the beautiful Pyrenees. And the scenery for that should be just spectacular. And we will stop on the way in Loyola, which is the birthplace of St. Ignatius of Loyola, who is the founder of the Order of Jesus, which is the Jesuit order. That night, we will attend the procession in Lourdes as we arrive there for our next few days. On day 10, we spend our day in Lourdes. We visit the shrine. We take a walking tour of the places associated with the life of Saint Bernadette Soubirous, including the grotto. And in that site is where Our Lady proclaimed to Bernadette that she was the Immaculate Conception. And we will also visit, which was formerly the jail where Bernadette lived. We will also visit the Basilica of St Pius X, considered the world's largest underground church, seating approximately 25,000 people. And there will be time in the afternoon here at Lourdes for meditation and prayer, including an opportunity to go into the famous baths of Lourdes, the miraculous waters, and pray for the graces that we need to either heal our bodies physically and or spiritually. One of the beautiful things about this trip is that we've sandwiched this trip between 2 visits of Our Lady in Fatima and in Lourdes, and the graces of this trip will be immense. And on day 11, we will leave Lourdes and we will depart to Toulouse. And along the way, we'll enjoy the picturesque French countryside before arriving at our hotel, which is near the airport. And we will rest that evening, have our farewell dinner for our pilgrimage to Fatima, Spain and France, and we will depart from Toulouse and make our trip across the ocean back to Boston Logan Airport. The slide that you see now just shows us what this trip includes. The trip will be a round-trip air transportation from Boston. We'll have a private motor coach between Springfield and Boston Logan Airport on departure and arrival. We'll have a comprehensive sightseeing per our itinerary in a private deluxe motor coach in Europe with a guide and an escort. We will be staying at 4-star U.S. equivalent hotel accommodations, and we will have buffet breakfasts in the hotel, dinners at hotels and at local restaurants as indicated in the itinerary. All the taxes and surcharges will be paid for, and we will be collecting $120 from each person so that will cover all the gratuities, and no one will have to worry about paying any tips for the hotels, the restaurants, the bus driver, and other associated expenses during the tours. The full payment is due by March 17th, 2017. If you register early, that means by January 17th and pay the $1,000 deposit, you will get $100 off of your trip. So that once again, $100 off if your deposit of $1,000 is made by January 17th of 2017. Also, insurance is available for you, and we strongly encourage that people take out this insurance. The insurance cost is $242, and with cancellation for any reason option, it is $363. Once again, we highly encourage that people take the insurance to safeguard against any cancellation whatsoever so that you can return your payment that you've made in full. Once you've made your payment in full by March 17, 2017, sometime prior to the trip, we will have another meeting which will review our final details for the trip, and you'll be able to meet and greet our fellow pilgrims and also discover some tips on how to travel, particularly through this part of Europe. At this meeting, you'll also receive the travel documents and a detailed schedule of events and hotel information. Once again, we want to remind you that the full payment is due by March 17, 2017. For more information about this trip, you can call the Catholic Communications office at 413-452-0670. You can also register online at www.johnpaultours.com/Dio Springfield. We're very, very excited about you joining us for this magnificent trip and celebrating together with our bishop the 100th anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady of Fatima.